So I am Brianna Hailey.
I'm Elizabeth Hailey.
And we're talking with Chaotic Careers this morning.
Well, so Bree stayed home and raised our babies, which was really important to us. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, which was beautiful. I've worked in everything from retail to finance to mortgage, which is really still finance, and really just worked like traditional jobs up until the point that we were ready to open the C Theater.
I did some freelance production work, photography, videography, photo editing, those type of things for a little while, but that was on and off. I mean, it wasn't like constant.
Mm-hmm. And then I've had a marketing firm for 6 or 7 years now, and the theater's only a couple years younger than that.
We've been, not professionally, but we've been doing this for over a decade. I mean, we started trying to do theater and promote theater, local theater in the area and in the youth and stuff, and help the youth. All the way, we used to be called Revolution Works.
Yep.
Way back in the day, a Christian organization. But yeah, so we've been doing this for a long time, but that's how we got here.
Yeah.
I think that the C Theater can be defined in one word, and that's community. If you're looking to do artsy stuff, we have you. If you're looking to just sit down and have a meal with somebody, we have you. If you're looking for hangout spots, we have you. So I think the only way that you could sum up the C Theater in one word would be community. I don't think there's another way. I don't think there's another way to sum it up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me too. The other thing we really focus on is safety. Safety is important for everybody, and that goes right hand in hand with community, right? Because if you're safe to be yourself, then you can experience true community.
So my personal favorite C Theater story, my favorite story since day one, we had an event. It was a youth night. We were going to have live music. We were going to have movies and video games. We were going to have food. It was going to be a big fun night for the youth. And the food didn't show up. The band canceled, didn't show up. We could not get the projector to work. We couldn't get the video games going. It was just the most disaster of a night that you could possibly imagine. Everything went wrong. And so I went out, we bought like 5 like Little Caesar pizzas, and that's all we had was a couple of decks of cards, a couple board games, and some pizza. And I was so upset. But then these kids, they just gathered around the table and they played cards and they played board games and they laughed and they had such a great time. And I realized in that moment, these kids didn't need the show and the spectacle that I was trying to put on. They needed the community. They needed each other. They needed that place to feel safe where they could hang out and be themselves. And they were glowing, and that to me is the C Theater.
This is the coolest thing ever because it's not just during Pride Month. We have an event called the Odd Market that we do 3 or 4 times a year that celebrates oddities and abnormal small business things. Everything from crocheted ogres to eyeballs in jars and preserved animal skulls that are turned into jewelry or whatever else. And that was the inspiration of this market, is to bring to life some of these small businesses, some of these creators that make things that are off the beaten path, So we do that year round. We love working with small businesses. And Pride Month has been special because we've had so many more, not just the real itty-bitty small businesses, but the bigger small businesses reaching out and supporting us as well.
My favorite thing on the planet is when I can see passion in somebody's eyes. That's my absolute favorite thing. I don't care what you're talking about. If you're talking about this cupcake that you make that's lighter than air, or you're talking about this play you're writing, you're talking about singing, when your eyes light up with that level of passion in what you're doing is, to me, the most beautiful thing in this universe. And getting to work with so many people and watch their eyes pop like that, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Elliot Page, hands down. Elliot Page has experienced publicly the thing that so many of the people in our organization experience on a personal level. And going through that as a public individual is so different and so fascinating. All these people listening and talking and literally publishing their opinion about you, and having that conversation with Elliot, I would love to hear how he walked through that and how that's different from the experience of a private individual, because I imagine he also had to deal with his family and his friends just like everybody else does.
I think if I had to choose just one, it would be Michael B. Jordan, because he's hot. That's it. I mean, he's talented and fantastic and gorgeous, so that's my answer.
That's the answer, yeah. The favorite thing that we offer is the heartbeat of our organization, Binders for Confident Kids. Chest Compression Binders is where this all started. Our trans son came home one day with a friend's binder. I didn't know what it was. This is very early in the process. And I asked him what it was and where he had gotten it from and why he hadn't asked me for it. And then I started researching and found how very expensive they were, how very difficult it is to access them. Thankfully, it's getting easier. There's additional organizations opening up. There's lots of people doing what we're doing across the states now. But every single time that I get to fit someone for a binder, and then they go and they put it on to check to make sure that it fits, is the most beautiful moment. They're sobbing, I'm sobbing, their moms are sobbing, everybody's crying, because for the first time they've looked in the mirror and they've seen themselves. And then they come out, and I'm the first person that they hug after that, and that is the coolest experience ever. And
their faces just light up. I mean, like,
yeah, it's amazing.
The reason why that we're here, we were planning on moving. Aaron had just come out, and we were trying to find events to take him to, and we were trying to find organizations to bring him to, and places that he would feel safe, and there was nothing.
P5 wasn't even operating at that point in time. There were no local queer organizations. There was nobody doing
so we said, okay, well, we're going to move to Seattle. And then we stopped and we said, if we can't find anything, there's other families that can't find anything. So we can't leave. We have to stay here and do this. And that's how we got here, and that's why we're here, is because we had to. We knew we were about to leave because there was nothing, and we said, wait, there's nothing. There's other kids. There's other hurting kids. There's other hurting families. There's other hurting people. We can't leave. So we stayed and started Seed.
And we started with maybe 8 or 10 people who would show up on a board game night, and we would look at each other and think, well, okay, I guess, there's not as many queer people as we thought, and it's a year and a half later and we can't keep up. There's so many people who come to the events. We sell out. We have people constantly asking us when the next thing is, what's the next thing we can get plugged in, and we go anywhere. People are asking how to volunteer. There's a lot of work to do. If everyone would accept and love people where they're at, then we wouldn't have to do this anymore. And that's our goal, is to make our jobs obsolete. If we can change enough people so there aren't foster kids with nowhere to go, and there there aren't 20-year-old kids who have no parents to turn to because they're queer, and there weren't families who are considering moving to safe states. That's a success for us.
I would want to leave the people with this question, and that's, I came out extremely late. I came out at 36 years old. Not a young chickling. And if there is a version of you that the world doesn't know yet, I guarantee you that version of you is more beautiful and more wonderful than whatever mask you're putting in front of it. And I just want to say, if you want to come out, come reach out to us, come out to me, because I want to know that person. It's incredible.
Hey there, guys! Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this episode of the Chaotic Career Series and listening to this month's story of Chattanooga community members and local small business owners Elizabeth and Brianna Hailey. Both Brianna and Elizabeth were such wonderful and admirable women to speak with. Hearing why and how they started CE Theater really stands to show how community not only helps us survive as people, but thrive. A need for community is not just prevalent in their lives, but in the lives of every human being. And their story really goes to show that perseverance in building out and forming this community, even in the face of adversity, really helps benefit not just your life, but the lives of those around you. If you're ever needing guidance in your own life, or are even looking to build out your own community and wondering what the first steps in that might be, please come see us down at the Center for Career and Leadership Development. Not only do we have resources for future job and internship opportunities, but we also have resources for honing in your particular leadership skills and looking at what those might be in your future. Now, with all that out of the way, until next time, stay chaotic.